about hanging championship banners. They introduced JJ Redick as their new head coach yesterday, and it was my guy's 40th birthday. So he came in and he was ready to roll. He's going to become an NBA head coach. He's going to be the sixth guy to do it without any prior experience as an assistant coach since 2010. When asked about that question of misconceptions, here's what he said.
I don't really have a great answer for your question because I really don't give a like, honestly. I want to coach the Lakers. I want to coach the team. I don't want to dispel anything. I don't. I want to become a great coach in the NBA, and I want to win championships, and I want my players to maximize their careers. That's all I care about.
Well, I guess JJ didn't realize he was going to be on national TV and might be censored, but that's the JJ we've known around this building. What did you think of JJ's introduction?
Well, first of all, a couple of things. I'm not going to get caught up in the profanity. I'm just not. I'm not going to make the whole press conference about that. I understand a lot of people are focused on that. He said either before that or right after that, I'm going to be me. If that's what he felt in the moment and that's the emotion he felt, so be it. But here's one thing he said, getting to know him pretty well here the last couple of years. Here's the thing. He is going to be paying attention to what people are saying. It's not the motivating force into why he wants to coach and like why he wants to succeed. He's right about that. That's not what JJ's going to be thinking about. But he is going to be aware of it, particularly in a media market like LA. You can't avoid it. It's coming your way. And everything's going to be scrutinized at a higher degree because of the lack of coaching experience. I thought overall, he portrayed the reasons they hired him. Which super high basketball IQ, communication ability, and confidence.
Yeah, he knows what seat he's in. It's the hottest seat in basketball. That's being a Lakers coach. You know, in terms of pressure, this is something that JJ has a history of being involved with. He played at the highest level, obviously in the NBA, was one of the most iconic college basketball players to ever play at Duke University. This is a guy who's been around the game for a long time. He knows a little bit about pressure. Now, this is a different level. Obviously, this is coaching, and this is coaching the Lakers. And, you know, like Tim said, he is aware of what the naysayers are saying. So I don't mind him using a little bit of profanity. He's going to get fined on day one of the job. But listen, he knows what's being said out there. It's definitely a motivating factor for him to come in and prove people wrong. People have had a lot to say about this hire, and even up to it, when his name was even thrown around, people were critiquing his coaching experience, making jokes, putting his coaching experience with his kid up, the little graphic, you know what I mean? JJ sees all this stuff as we all do, but he's ready, you know, and this is going to be a huge opportunity for him to come in and coach a team that has championship expectations.
Zach, here's my question. With names like Vinny Del Negro and Isaiah Thomas and Steve Nash and all of these other names that have gotten jobs without prior assistant coaching experience, why is it such a big deal that JJ Redick doesn't have that experience?
Because it's the Lakers, that's all. I mean, they said in teeing it up, you said this is the sixth coach since 2010 with no coaching experience to get a head coaching job. That's a lot of coaches in not that long of a period of time. JJ knows the game inside out. He's not going to get outworked. He's not going to get outthought. He might get outthought on the fly in the muck of a game, second by second. That's the next level of coaching, going adjustment for adjustment in the minutes of the game with a guy like Eric Spoelstra. But he's going to come in and he's going to do a good job as the Lakers coach. I think he's ready for it. And really, I don't care what he said in the press conference. I don't care about the profanity. I don't care about any of that. The only thing I cared about was when he talked about how he's going to use LeBron, and we can talk about that later. But the real work for the Lakers starts now.
Yep.
The draft is tomorrow. Free agency begins shortly after that. That's the real work for the Lakers, to remake their team into a team that can go toe-to-toe with some of the heavyweights in the West, because those are the heaviest heavyweights in the league outside of Boston.
Well, when you look at the Lakers, we know it's about championships, and those are the questions that JJ Redick will have to answer, and does he have the roster to answer those questions? Let's do a little bit of pretender contender. Okay, Austin, we're going to start with you. What do you think about the Knicks?
Well, for one, they got to be healthy. This is a team that I thought if they were fully healthy, this playoffs would have been Boston's biggest challenge, including the West. So, you know, you re-sign OG, but one area I think they could definitely improve is getting a good pick-and-roll threat. They don't need a post presence. They got that with Julius, with him coming back. But I think if they can get a big that's a good pick-and-roll threat, they're going to lose Isaiah probably in free agency. I don't know if they're going to pay him all that money. And then if they can get another guard who can play make, there's so much emphasis on Jalen Brunson every single night to produce. So
Zach, Suns.
They need some freaking chemistry. They got to the end of the season, and it was like, if these dudes ever played together before, why is Kevin Durant just standing in the corner over there? What are they doing? They have a new coach, and that's health. That's the big three getting time together, and that's figuring out who should play with them. By the end of the season, Frank Vogel didn't know, like, here's Josh Okogie, here's this guy, here's that guy. Chemistry, and health.
Well, you see, I didn't ask were they pretenders or contenders, and I'm not going to do that for the Lakers either. How do they become contenders?
Well, I think a couple areas. I think first is the three-point shooting. The volume's low, the accuracy's low. In this era of basketball, it's just not good enough. Now, hopefully that's an area JJ has some expertise in. It can help them get better quality looks. He's not going to help them make them. And then I think the perimeter defenders, they need longer, athletic perimeter defenders that they've got to try to acquire in the offseason.
Well, JJ Redick has a tall task ahead of him, but here's the new head coach with his evaluation of their roster.
I don't look at the current roster as being that far off from a championship caliber team. In terms of managing expectations, Lakers fans have some of the most passionate fans around the world, and the expectation is a championship. And so it's my job, it's our staff's job, it's Rob's job, it's all of us to deliver a championship caliber team. That's what I signed up for.
Zach, this is not a championship caliber team. This is a play-in tournament caliber team. What is your evaluation of this roster?
Wow, that was cold. Wow. Look, the word caliber is doing a lot of work in what JJ just said, because look, the Lakers won one playoff game last year. One. You need to win 12 just to make the finals and give yourselves a shot against Boston. But I will, in his defense, that word caliber, if you have LeBron and you have AD and they're healthy, and by the way, they were super healthy last year, they got to get that again, you have a good supporting cast, you have a puncher's chance to beat pretty much anybody in the West in one playoff series. Denver was a nightmare matchup for them, and they still competed pretty well. But having a chance to win one playoff series is way different than winning 3 against the gauntlet of Minnesota, Denver, Oklahoma City, Dallas, on and on and on. To get to that level, I think is a pretty big vault for them, and it's going to depend on what they do in the offseason.
Yeah, we had some fun with Greeny on this topic because Greeny was saying, he was famously saying they should have tanked at the end of the year, last game, so they could avoid Denver. That's the one team. And I said, yeah, but here's the problem, Greeny. You wrote a set that day. Here's the problem, Greeny. They lost in 5 games to a team
right,
who then lost to a team who then lost to another team. Okay, so you start adding that up, that's a lot of things, okay? Right. A lot of things. So the rungs in the ladder are steep in the Western Conference. So I think to JJ's point, I hear where he's coming from. You've got LeBron and AD, that's great, but there are a lot more areas on this team that are deficient. I think he's probably going to find that out as the season begins.
Austin, you are full of optimism, right? So much optimism, you said you knew 30 dudes that hoop could play in the NFL.
Wow, you're not letting this go.
Maybe 10.
You're not letting this go.
Never going to let it go. Never going to let it go. But how do the Lakers become contenders?
Well, yeah, I think Tim said it right. They definitely need to add more shooting. They suffered from that last year. They need another playmaker. You saw JJ talk about possibly having LeBron off the ball some, playing through AD more. I like AD next to a big. I liked when they had JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard. These aren't guys that people scream in free agency that are going to change the team, but they did. I think having him at the 4 spot, not having him have to guard Nikola for a whole series, it wears on him. We always talk about AD with health, keeping him healthy. Having another big next to him who can take that bulk, especially on the defensive side, putting him at the 4 in stretches, I think, could help, along with the shooting aspect that they much need. But they got the hard part right. You got LeBron James.
How much does schematics matter in basketball? How much can scheme help a team go from one place to another, or is it all about the roster?
I think it's both. I think it's both. That's where JJ's going to be tested at. He's a first-year head coach. He doesn't have the luxury of getting to ease into a team that doesn't have high expectations. He's going to be judged under a magnifying glass the entire season, especially with X's and O's and close games. But he's going to have some experience, I'm sure, with the assistant coaching hires that they're going to have, that they're going to bring in. But listen, they got the hard part right, man. Both of their players are going to Paris this summer. They got 2 top 15, top 10 players still in the NBA if we're counting LeBron James and AD. They got the hard part down. They add some other pieces. They'd be all right. Speaking of Bron, though, how does JJ get the most out of this LeBron, who was extremely healthy last year when you look at how long he's played in the league? Fortunately for JJ Redick, you're talking about the CPU, really, the brains of the operation is LeBron James, right? So most of what's going to happen offensively, LeBron's going to dictate a lot of that. Yep. That's what JJ has to rely on.
We talk so much about LeBron and JJ's impact on LeBron, on AD, and how it's to me. I think the margins is where JJ is going to really improve this team. He could help a guy like Austin Reeves max out with off-ball movement, with spacing, with some of the stuff and wrinkles that he can put in to create better shots for their role players. That's, I think, a big area that JJ is going to help this team. LeBron and AD are who they are. We know what they are. They're going to look a lot like they've looked throughout their careers. It's the rest of that roster that I want to see JJ improve with some of the schematics that you're talking about and the attention to detail that he can help.
Zach, we keep saying roster. How difficult or easy will it be for them to improve enough to compete with the Minnesotas, the Denvers, and some of these teams that will be at the top of the West?
Yeah, the real work starts now, tomorrow. They have the 17th pick in the draft, and when the year turns over on July 1, they'll be able to trade that pick, whoever they take, 2 other picks, and whatever else. And I think they're going to look around and try to get another guy in the door. You just said the name Austin Reeves. I think people are a little down on Austin Reeves. He didn't quite make the leap that people maybe expected him to make last year.
It's unfair.
He's a damn good player.